Hey Star Wars fans, Bro DeLorean here with another lightsaber video. I haven't done a lightsaber video in a minute, but I'm excited to talk about this one because this is one that I did a lot of work on myself. This is the KR Skoll, the Baylan Skoll lightsaber from thesaberarmory.com. Let's see, KR Sabers produces this, and I think it was designed with, let me check my notes here, we got Jimmy Saber Junk and Wanawanga Roy's Saber Part Shop. They helped do the scaling for this thing to make sure it was accurate to the show, and it is huge. This is the largest hilt that I have by any means. I mean, like, look at this next to my arm. Like, this is a huge lightsaber hilt, and you know, I guess it makes sense because the actor is like 6'2", and if you look in a lot of scenes when he's holding it, he has his hands apart from each other, and it looks like there's like enough space for like a whole other hand. So I mean, it looks this big too. When I first opened, I thought there's no way it's that big. It's just impossible. But yeah, no, that's the size of the hilt. So it's huge. Why don't I compare it to something that you might be familiar with? If you have an Obi-Wan Kenobi hilt, here is the Desert Wanderer. Next to, I'm not going to include the D-ring here. Let me fold that over. There, that's the KR Skoll next to an Obi-Wan hilt. So yeah, much longer. But anyway, yeah, KR Skoll. So got this from the Saber Armory, and I did the weathering and the install myself. So let's talk through that a little bit. So first up is this pommel. Now his pommel is like super weathered, like really weathered, and if I remember right, the KR makes this out of carbon steel, this pommel, so you can oxidize it and weather it the way that I did here. After a lot of consideration and looking at other people's pommels, especially one that Austin did from Astoria Workshop, he used a Dremel grinding bit to like grind divots into it, which I think looks really good. So I think I might continue to do some work on the pommel, but I do like all of the hammering and weathering that I did on it. But let's take a closer look at how I actually did this. You can see that I just put it in a vise and started hammering the heck out of this thing until my arm got tired, and it probably needs a lot more hammering, but it looked pretty good for what it was at that point, so I decided to move forward and oxidize it.
Alright, so I'm going to try to rust this carbon steel pommel, and to do so I'm going to mix some ingredients together that I found online that might do the trick, and that is 2 ounces of white vinegar, 2 tablespoons of ionized salt, okay, and 16 ounces of hydrogen peroxide. All right, so I saw it sprayed on, but I'm kind of curious what will happen if I just dip it. And wow, look at that. You can almost see it changing real time. That's insane. That's kind of cool. Alright. Let this sit for a while and see what happens.
So I'm pretty happy with the way that the pommel turned out, and then it was time to go to the rest of the saber. Now, this came, you know, beautifully shiny aluminum, you know, nice brand new kit and everything, and then I had to go and make it look not nice shiny and new anymore. I wanted to make it look weathered. So the first thing I had to do is take off the clear anodizing off the aluminum, and you know, I don't know if there's a right way to do this. A friend of mine says to just put the saber in a lye mixture, and that will help take the anodizing off. I ended up using like a Drano, like a drain cleaner, but you know, throwing a little bit of video here. But you could see I would put it in the Drano, and then I would try to brush it a little bit, see if it would take some of that anodizing off. It didn't quite do the trick, so I ended up just leaving it in there for a while.
Oh, it's actually kind of warm. It's been sitting in the Drano stuff for, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes or so. It almost turned it this dark color, but curious, yeah, that seems to be coming off. So I think the anodizing has turned to that dark color. Let's see if it all comes off. Yeah, see? So the anodizing's all come off. It's made this aluminum look really dull, almost white.
But yeah, after getting all that off, now the aluminum black would take. So without taking the clear anodizing off, the aluminum black would just set up on the edge of the surface and not do anything. But so anyway, we go ahead and weather this. The whole thing with aluminum black, even the pommel, which made the pommel a lot darker. I did real heavy aluminum black in all of the lines to give them a nice shadow. And then removed most of the aluminum black off the rest of the hilt, and I even polished it with my Dremel polishing wheel on the high points of the saber to bring back a little bit of shine. I also took some sandpaper and like a nail file to the rest of the anodized parts, the parts that were anodized black, just to give them some scratches and chipping around the sides. And last up, I airbrushed a little gradient of acrylic black around the top to give it that nice shadow. But yeah, so we take a slightly closer look here. You can see that airbrushing. You can see that airbrushing across the top there kind of gives it that nice black gradient into the rest of the hilt. You can see where it's shiny in places like this, like where it's a little higher. So I tried to bring some of that shine back with the Dremel and just kind of buffing pieces after I had done the aluminum black weathering on it. Left quite a bit of aluminum black down in corners and crevices, and then last up here I took the sandpaper up to the edges of the black anodized parts to scratch out corners and stuff. But yeah, I'm super happy with the way the weathering turned out. Like I said, I might have a little bit more work to do on the pommel. But as far as the look of the saber goes, I think it looks like spot on. I'm really happy with it. Okay, so the install. Let's talk about the install a little bit. This is a full kit that I purchased from the Saber Armory, so everything in here came as part of it. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So first up, there is a 31 millimeter speaker down here in the pommel. So this is just a little speaker pod here, goes down in the pommel with little 2 pins there, and then a little speaker PCB on the bottom of the chassis. But so that speaker pommel, or that speaker pod down in the pommel, you never need to take that out, so I was just taking it off to show you. But normally I'll take it off here at the grip and take the speaker and everything off with the grip. But you can see down in there, well, maybe if I got the light just right, you can see the 2 little pins from the speaker. And then there's the speaker PCB on the bottom of the chassis there. But because of these screws here and here, this has like a little J-lock system on the chassis, so you can just turn and pull it out. And I have a little bit of, judge me for this later, I have this little piece of masking tape over the board just to keep it from moving. I thought it was going to be kind of a snap fit, but it was just a tiny bit loose. So I was going to just, put some E6000 on it to keep it down, but then I found just this little bit of tape on the side of the chassis was just enough to keep this from moving too much inside here. So once it locked in, just that little bit of tape, I mean, it didn't add probably, anything much to the width to fill that up, but just that kind of helps everything stay together. But anyway, installed with stock, what is this? We have the V4 now, Eco lit PCB connector, Proffie 2.2, 18650, and then the 31 millimeter speaker, and it's a single switch. So we have just our single switch up there, which uses the red button on the hilt. But again, just kind of line it up to the left of your switch, and then it goes on that little J-lock, turn, and now it's stuck in there. It has a kill switch. You really can't tell when you turn it on because the speaker's not connected. So normally when you turn it on, you'd hear the pre-on noise. But if you turn it on, be able to see that it turned on from the lit connector. So we know it's on.
Baylan Skoll.
There we go. I have to admit, I was expecting a 31mm speaker to be just a little more knock your socks off. I expected to be just a little more overwhelmed by the speaker, but I'm kind of underwhelmed by it. So I don't know if it's just like the sound venting, or maybe that it's not all the way sealed, or what's it called? When you like fully seal it to the chassis or whatever. But you know what? It sounds good. It doesn't sound bad. It's not bad by any means. It's better than, well, I don't want to say better than like LGT or Nexus or whatever, but I mean, it is better than that. It's just not like knock your socks off good like I was kind of hoping. So anyway, if you are buying this thinking, oh, it's a 31mm speaker, it's, going to be the loudest Saber in my collection, not so much. But it's still good. But anyway, but yeah, so that's installed by me. I did the entire install myself, just hanging out with friends online, and I had to ask very little questions this time, not because I got better at installing, but because of this. So this is pretty amazing. So John from Sabers Forever created this, and so I noticed on the Saber Armory's website, when you scroll down just a little bit from the add to cart button or whatever, the details about the Saber says it's designed for do-it-yourselfers, and here's an install guide by clicking here. And I click the link and it opens this PDF to this wonderful guide with pictures and everything you need to know to install this. Obviously it doesn't teach you how to solder or things like that, so you need some skill in this to do an install. But as far as like needing to know like what wire goes where, it has all kinds of wiring diagrams in here and stuff like that, and it's also set up for different types of installs. So like, for example, here this shows you Proffie or CFX or Verso, Golden Harvest. It has all the different wiring diagrams in it, plus the Eco chassis or the Crystal, the CC Eco chassis with the Eco Crystal reveal. But yeah, so this is really cool. So Cal, John, whoever's doing this going forward, I sure hope that you guys continue to make those install guides for the Sabers that you come out with, or the hilts that you come out with, because this really made it a fun experience for me. Normally I kind of stress over installing a little bit because I'm not good at it. I need someone there holding my hand, kind of telling me what to do the whole time. And this time I was able to like read instructions and do it mostly myself. So that was fun for me. That was a cool experience. But yeah, I think that's really all I wanted to share about the Saber. I do have 2 sound fonts on it. They're both Baylan Skoll sound fonts. If I remember right.
Baylan Skoll. Baylan Skoll.
Okay, if I remember right, because they're both the Huang voice, I think the short one is the K-Sith. And I think the longer one,
Baylan Skoll.
I think this one is Kyberphonic. But yeah, 2 great sound fonts. Both sound super similar, but they're both Baylan fonts, obviously. It's probably gonna be the only 2 I have on here. I thought about putting like a Shin font on here, or Sabine or Ezra or something like that, or Ahsoka, anything from the Ahsoka show. But probably just gonna stick with the Baylan fonts on here. got to bring this to Disney recently for Star Wars night. I actually wore a full Baylan Skoll cosplay, which I will hopefully make a video on here real soon. I'm very happy with the way that this costume turned out, and it just felt so cool to be walking around with the character appropriate hilt, and even ran into a couple other people, one that had a KR, and he even came up to me immediately and he's like, "Is that the KR skull that you have?" And I'm like, "Yes, it is." So I was like, obviously lightsaber guy, right? And he was talking about how he was planning to do his install and weathering and all that, and so yeah, no, it was kind of cool to meet someone else that was doing like the same thing and had the same hilt and all that. So anywho, all right, I promised a short video and this one probably ended up going long, so I apologize. But hey, may the force be with you all. Thanks for checking out another video. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I really do appreciate it when you guys leave comments. Gives me something to reply to and lets me know that you saw it and that you enjoy this kind of stuff. It's fuel for me to like keep doing this. So anyway, thanks guys. May the force be with you all. Catch you in the next one. Bye.